All right. Hey, this is Drive Safe Dave with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. And here we are coming into the studio via our massive technology is Andy Brown. Hey, Andy, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm all charged up. How are you?
I'm all charged up. Hey, how'd you like that little? How'd you
that
like
was
that?
good.
Yeah, how'd you like that little intro we had for you set up? Did you like that?
Thanks for setting me up. That was good.
I like the charged up thing, and Dave, he gave you the biggest lead in ever. Can you kind of Dave, take it over from that? He's charged up. Why would Andy be charged up?
Yeah, Andy. Hey, head of product marketing at Volvo, product manager marketing at Volvo. Tell us a little bit about what you do and why you're here today to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess first and foremost, thanks for having me on the show. Big fan. You guys bring a lot of energy, again, pun intended, and engagement in the show. You guys have some awesome guests, so I'm just happy to be here. And I love the Thankful Thursday, the safest station in the nation. A little tongue twister there, but just, again, super big fan. And by the way, did you know that Volvo Trucks has 3 core values: quality, environmental care, and safety? So I really think our organizations line up pretty well. So
Absolutely.
Anyway,
and I think that's really fundamental. I think that's what's going to have to go across the board for every product as it enters into this new next generation. So talk to me a little bit about the new Class 8 vehicles that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so, product marketing manager with Volvo Trucks, right? So my work is really defined by the promotion of the awareness and importance of sustainability through alternative fuel sources. And in my instance, it's electrification. So this means I get to partner and support the super talented groups within Volvo Trucks, our extraordinary dealer network, and our amazing customers in North America, and groups like yourself, affiliate groups, regulatory groups, and things like that. So what I see in Volvo's electromobility line is really a total solution of history-defining, game-changing technology that the heavy transport industry really needs and should be very excited about.
Yeah, in a nutshell, you're just talking about electric trucks, right? Basically, you're talking about electric big trucks out there doing the heavy work that right now only diesel engines are doing, correct?
What? Well, yeah. So the electric truck is, the way I like to put it is you think of a band and the electric truck's that singer, the star of the show. But there is much more to that. So electrification is really an ecosystem, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but there's a whole stage and a support cast that sets up that singer. You got the guitar player, the drums, and in the instance of an electric truck, you have your charging infrastructure, you have the contracts, service agreements, things of that sort. So you have to look at this electric vehicle in both a traditional sense and a non-traditional sense.
Hey, Andy, I have a question for you. Obviously, if I wanted to start to be an electric truck manufacturer, I can't just jump in and say, you know what, I'm an electric truck manufacturer. There's a timeline that goes with that. Talk to us about Volvo's timeline in getting involved in this electric truck.
Yeah, so I'm really glad you asked this question. This is actually one of my favorite talking points. So our electrification journey in North America started in 2019 with the Lights project. But I think it's worth highlighting that Volvo Trucks globally and Volvo Group, we're no strangers to electrification. In fact, we have over 5,000 electric buses and trucks internationally that have accumulated over 6 million EV miles. So here in North America, we had an amazing foundation to really build upon. So getting back with the Lights, that's an acronym. So Low Emissions Green Heavy Transport Solutions, which was a 14-organization partnership in Southern California to pressure test the feasibility of electromobility, that ecosystem that I talked about. And $90 million was on the line for that project. So for us as an OEM, the outcome of that project was or is the VNR Electric, which started production in 2021 at our new River Valley plant in Dublin, Virginia. And this year, in 2022, we've already launched a next generation VNR Electric, which we have planned to start production in the summer. So if I recap this for you, within 3 years, we developed trucks, sold and produced these trucks, enhanced our trucks, and now selling and will produce the next generation VNR. So what I love to say is that when it comes to our timeline, is that Volvo Trucks is matching the speed of technology and we're working in weeks and months and not years and decades.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. And as we talk about this, and you're talking about investment money, how much is this truly going to save not only the ecosystem, but how much is this going to really save us in dollars and cents down the line? You know what I mean? That's really let's talk the nitty gritty. What's it going to save me?
Okay, so this is one of, if not the number one question that gets asked, right? And the answer isn't as straightforward as I would like it. But right now, your TCO, or your total cost of ownership, really depends on a few different elements. So for example, you have to ask yourself which state you're working in. Some states have more incentives than others, and these incentives play a huge role in your immediate payback, right? The next is you have to ask your question if you are going to invest in your own charging infrastructure or use a third party or public charging networks. So these types of questions are critical that the customers, our dealers, and ourselves work through together as we guide them through that electromobility journey. So what I will say is that the VNR electric is more expensive than your diesel initially, but with the price of diesel rising drastically and the number of service parts being saved, your payback period in the long run is positive, especially when you think about where all the regulations are going and things of that sort. People, or at least consumers, are purchasing products differently than we've ever seen before. I'm going to choose to buy my yogurt from that grocery store because it was delivered in a sustainable way. So we're seeing the transportation providers and their end customers, putting that sort of mandate or pressure on them to be green and have a sustainable solution.
Yeah, and as we continue, there's so many topics to hit and so many points. One of them is the infrastructure bill that passed. We're going to see a huge influx of money in charging stations across the country that's going to help sustain some of these new trucks, right, as they go out there on the road and do some of the things that need to get done, so they don't have to just charge at the base, right?
Yeah. So let me back up a little bit, right? Just talking about the VNR electric. So Volvo Trucks offers the largest lineup of zero tailpipe emissions, fully electric Class 8 trucks. And so for the VNR electric, we offer customers 5 configurations, 3 of which are tractors, and 2 are your straight trucks or box trucks. And just like you mentioned, right, it needs that charging infrastructure, and that's going to be really key into supporting that VNR electric. And yeah, like you said, with the bill and the amount of money that's being invested, the VNR electric right now is really targeted for that local and regional distribution, where you have planned routes, you can coordinate your operations around those charging times, and then what's next is everybody's favorite. What's going to happen with long haul? And the more mature our infrastructure will be, the better we will be positioned to satisfy that target market.
Yeah, Andy. So in my other job, I spend a lot of time talking on sustainability to large shippers, and you bring up this point because in my last conversation I had last week, a customer that ships out about 800-mile length of haul, their goal, what they want to tell their stockholders is, hey, in 2024, we want to be on our dedicated routes purely electric, and with the length of haul that long, the infrastructure is just not ready for that part. Am I right with that?
Yeah, well, it kind of goes back to where are you hauling, right? So California is really the hotbed of electrification, and there's so many investments being made both publicly and privately. So there's different corridors happening. A shout out with our dealer network is our dealers, in order to sell and service in a VNR electric, they need to be EV certified. And part of that criteria is having dedicated service bays. A lot of our dealers are investing in their own charging infrastructure. And you may have seen in recent news, you're seeing trucking companies like Watt EV come out with a brand new business model of a vehicle as a service, where they're housing that truck, they have the infrastructure, and then supporting heavy transports that way.
Hey, one more thing on this. When it comes to the EVs, I got to get my lingo down too for this. The EVs. I sound like one of you now. When it comes to the EVs, have we lost anything on the safety side? I heard you talk about your core values with Volvo. One of the reasons why we really love that Volvo truck are all the safety features that you have, including like the cab, Dave. We talk about just that. But on the electric vehicle, Is it just as safe as those other trucks?
Absolutely. So the VNR Electric is the most technologically advanced truck that we have. And with that, you can expect the same safety features, right? So this truck is built on the VNR chassis, and that's a proven chassis that drivers are comfortable with. It has credibility. It's been battle tested since 2017. So this truck has Volvo dynamic steering. If you're familiar, it helps reduce that fatigue. It extends the longevity of your driver comfort. It has Volvo active driver assist, which will have lane departure, adaptive cruise control, things of that sort. So both of these features are designed to enhance your driver experience by increasing your driver efficiency while reducing the driver fatigue, which when you think about safety, right, driver fatigue is something that I really wanted to hit on, even though it isn't like your hot topic of safety features, right? You just want to protect the human, but driver fatigue, it's a real thing, and you all know that. That's why we have the mandatory driver brakes, but these two safety features that I mentioned, plus the fact that this cab is quiet, significantly helps drivers and positions them to leave their shifts fresher than they may have in a traditional diesel.
You know, as you talk about that, and we're talking about these electronic trucks, how much more efficient are they when it comes to mechanical breakdown? I mean, I know we don't have the long-term numbers here yet, but to me, it seems with the electric engine, you're going to have less problems with. We definitely won't need the DEF filter, and we definitely won't need.
Nope.
Yeah, we definitely won't need any of the exhaust system, but stuff coming out. So have we learned anything as we've done and gone into your business model? How much more efficient these are in mechanical breakdowns?
Yeah, so I guess to start off, compared to its predecessor, right, this new VNR Electric incorporates just better battery design, which we've been able to increase that capacity by 40%. With the speed of technology, right, it has higher charging capability, so we've essentially reduced charging time by 15%. And these elements with a new active cooling system really helps you get to that up to 275-mile range, which is an 85% increase in range from its predecessor. Now, to answer your question with the diesel, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You have less moving parts, so the wear and tear is less. And then with electric trucks, you have this concept, right, of regenerative braking. So now imagine this: your drivers don't have to hit the service brakes because they can just hit the brake on the stalk, activate their regenerative braking, and essentially get free fuel back into the battery system, where that concept, that idea isn't even feasible with your traditional diesel and fuel.
How much heavier are these trucks?
They are heavier, so a few thousand pounds. And what's actually pretty cool about that is if you look at your 6x2 and your 6x4 tractors, for example, right, the gross combination weight is actually 82,000 pounds as opposed to 80,000 pounds. So what's nice is that states are starting to give us an allowance on weight because these batteries are heavier.
Oh, so is there an approved exemption across the board for these trucks because of this weight differential? Is that what you're telling me? And is that up to each state, or is that going to be a federally mandated issue?
Yeah, right now, state by state, but we hope to have a federal blanket kind of peanut butter spread allowance, and then 82,000 right now is good, but it could be better.
You know, I sit here and I talk to you about these trucks, and we talk about these batteries. You're talking about a little bit different vehicle, high voltage. That in and of itself creates its own set of dangers, right? Before we had diesel fuels, and now we've got a high voltage. How is that going to be? How do first responders and other people that come up onto these vehicles deal with this? Because batteries have their own dangers, right? As opposed to diesel fuel, and then you also have high voltage. So what are some of the things that Volvo's doing to assure that not only first responders but drivers and everybody gets the message?
Yeah, really love this, right? And it really circles around the theme of what we're talking about this morning, which is safety. So our VNR Electric, right? We do as many redundant activities and tasks that we can on that truck. So our batteries are actually protected by a guard that can survive an on-hit or indirect hit from a passenger vehicle of 35 miles per hour. What many people may not know is, We have the warning stickers. Everything that's touching a high voltage component is actually in a bright orange cable. And those cables, not only do you have your ISO spec skin on top of it for the durability, robustness, things of that sort, we actually have a smart skin layer underneath those cables so that if that cable gets frayed or cut, it will actually shut off the energy storage system. Now, with the first responders, I think this is a really cool story. So what we've done with first responder trainings in Southern California through competence development for fire districts that had a VNR or have a VNR electrics in them, these were sponsored by the local community colleges involved with that lights program that I mentioned before. And first responder info is also included in the National Firefight Database. So all areas have access to this information, which basically details the traction voltage system, the components, cables, along with the methods to shut down this voltage in case of emergencies, service, things of that sort. And topics like the safety switch and the cutting of the cables, all of these things are documented and talked about that are accessible by all. Uh-oh. I may have lost you on the audio.
Hey, explain to us a little bit about Volvo's 360 approach. What is that, and what does it mean to us?
Yeah, okay. So I mentioned this before, and electromobility is an ecosystem that consists of several elements. So when you say 360, that's what I'm referring to, is that Volvo Trucks has looked at electromobility at every possible angle, from concept to planning to purchase, service, and even second life. So we and our dealerships are prepared to help guide customers through that electromobility journey, no matter what stage they're in. So we have a saying a motto at Volvo, and with the VNR Electric, it's accelerating the shift. And we believe in order to accelerate the industry shift to electric, we need to have a solution and even pivot our solutions appropriately to continue to exceed the expectations of our customers.
That's good stuff. Hey, Andy, we have about a minute and a half. But before that, I need to break this down for me because, you know, when people go out and buy their Volvo, they get out and drive, say, Dave, you know this, they brag about that miles per gallon. What the heck are they going to measure now? There's no more miles per gallon. Is it like miles per kilowatt hour? What are they going to look at?
Kilowatts per hour. Kilowatt hour per mile. There you go.
There we go. Wow. That's another measurement drive. Say, Dave, can't wait to start doing this.
I'll have to get my calculator out because I'm not even sure I'm not even sure the bragging point yet on that, but we'll figure that out. In the truck stop, there'll be a new bragging point, and nobody will quite get it. But that's interesting stuff. I tell you what, you're bringing together a bunch of great. I mean, Volvo's bringing a bunch of great stuff, bringing it to the market. There has to be a change, and inevitably what y'all are doing is leading the market in the change, correct?
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I wanted to close that, hey, this is Andy Brown with Volvo Trucks, the VNRE, the best you'll ever see, here with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Woo!
Wow, I didn't even have
that may be the best one ever right there.
We didn't even have to prompt you on that. I'll tell you what, great stuff, Andy. Hey, by the way, I'm excited about this. You have an open invitation. Will you come back and see us again in the future if we have more questions and more stuff for you about this very topic?
Anytime you'll have me. My pleasure.
All right. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Andy. Have a good one, buddy. Thank you for joining BCB Live.